This conference will now be recorded.
So in today's session, what I'm going to teach guys. So we have Azure Data Factory service, right? So I want to create pipeline. So for example, this is a blob storage. Okay, this is a cloud storage, and this is a data lake storage. Okay, Azure Data Lake Gen 2. Okay, so this is my source and this is my target. Okay, so I want to move. I have here my requirement here, so I have some zip file. Okay, so zip file in source. Okay, so I want to move the zip file to target. Okay, so I want to move the zip file to the target location, and both are in a cloud, right? So both are in a cloud, Microsoft Azure cloud. And so whatever the zip file is, both are storage accounts, you already aware, right? So blob storage and data lake storage and both are storage account, but my requirement is my client have the zip file in his source system, and I want to move this particular zip file to target the ADLS Gen 2 using Azure Data Factory service. Okay, so using Azure Data Factory ADF. Okay, so let's discuss step by step. What is your first step, guys? We have to be create a linked service. Your first step is always need to create a linked service, right? So to connect to the blob storage, then you need to start creating a data set. Let's go to one first step, create a linked service. Okay, let's go and create open Azure Data Factory. This is our data factory. Open Azure Data Factory Studio and go to Author tab. And here I'll create linked service, guys. Okay, so my first step, I have to be create a linked service. So how you need to create a linked service? Left side you can see there is a suitcase icon, guys, right? So in the home page, this is data factory home page, right? So I'll go to the manage tab, and I'll create here link service. Again, I'm trying to show you guys. Once you open the portal.azure.com, okay, so you have to go to the your corresponding data factory which you have created. Okay, and then you have to go to how you need to open data factory. Open Azure Data Factory Studio. You have here getting started. You can see here getting started, right? So this is what I'm talking about, getting started. Open Azure Data Factory Studio, start authoring, and start authoring in the sense start creating and monitoring your data flow, data pipe. Okay, and data flows. So now you can go here, and I'll create a new linked service. Okay, so whenever you want to create a linked services, guys, okay, so you should come to manage tab, you should come to manage tab, suitcase icon, and you can create a new linked service. So your first step here to connect to the source system, any kind of source, not only blob, guys, any kind of source systems. Let's discuss about what are all connectors we have. By clicking on new, I can see here, so there are many connectors, guys. Okay, So these many connectors I have, I can connect to even AWS, Amazon Redshift, Amazon
Hello.
S3. Hello,
Yeah, our screen is not visible. Yeah, right now.
everyone have the same issue?
Yeah, Suresh.
Not able to see my screen?
Struck, sometimes struck.
Yeah, right now working.
You know? Okay. So let me know guys if you face any issues. And now you can see, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
these, okay, okay.
Yes,
So
Suresh, now it is okay.
okay, good. So now what I'm trying to explain, so if you want to connect to any kind of source system, guys, not only blob storage, blob is part of a cloud, right? So when you want to connect to any source system like Oracle, you want to connect to Amazon S3. Uh, Screen still not visible? Hello,
Okay, right now.
hello.
Yeah,
Suresh.
sir.
We are able to see.
Let me reconnect, guys. Okay. If you guys are not able to see still, let me try once again the screen share. If not, then I'll restart. Is everyone able to see? Hello.
No, Suresh, I'm still not able to see.
Okay. Let me reconnect then.
Sure.
Can you see me now, guys? Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Can you
Yeah,
see the
Suresh.
screen?
Yes,
Yes.
Suresh.
Okay.
So if you
Thanks,
don't
guys.
mind, ఈ పేజ్ కంటే ముందు స్టార్ట్ చేసిన దగ్గర చెప్పరా ఒకసారి అంటే ప్లేస్ వేర్ స్టార్టెడ్
Okay.
అక్కడే స్టక్ అయింది ఎగ్జాక్ట్ గా.
Okay. Sure, guys. So we have here manage tab and just want to click on new. You can see guys here under connections, right? So if you want to connect any kind of sources and you have to be use this link service option to establish a connection to source. Okay. So I can have here link services and I can create a new link service by clicking on new, guys. Okay. So just click on new and I can connect to any kind of sources. Here, currently ADF supports almost 90 plus connectors, high performant connectors. You can connect to any of the source system. So your source system, it might be the Oracle, it might be Apache Impala, it might be Blob Storage, it might be Cosmos DB, it might be Data Lake Storage, Gen2, it might be database, it might be MySQL database, PostgreSQL, file storage, the SQL databases, table storage. It might be NoSQL databases as well, like Cassandra. So like this guys, okay, so I can connect to many connectors. If you want to connect to FTP, if you want to connect to your local system, you can also use this file system option. If you want to connect to dynamic CRM, you can connect using this link. So dynamic 365. So there are many connectors are available right now, and you can connect to your corresponding source system, and you can pass all the necessary details to the link service, and you can be able to use that link service to you can connect to that source, and you can get all the data from the source, right? So these are all the data stores, and we have another tab here, compute. So compute in the sense we have Azure Databricks, we have data lake analytics, HDF insights, Azure functions. So all these are comes under compute. Okay, so Synapse Analytics, all these are comes under compute. So if you want to create a compute link service, you can use this Azure Databricks. Okay, so this type of options we have. Okay, so you can have, they're further categorized under Azure, what are all the service under the database, what are all connectors we have under the file, what are all the connectors under the generic protocol, what are all the connectors. So like this, we categorized all these connectors, different categories, and all the connectors we can use based on our requirement. We can connect to that source, and we can establish a connection accordingly, guys. Okay. So click on new blob storage. So my source is a blob storage, right? So I want to connect to this blob storage, right? So let's click on the blob storage. This is one of the source. This is fully managed by Microsoft, guys. This is a storage account, and fully managed by Microsoft, and you can load any kind of data in a blob storage. Okay, so click on continue. So here I can see name of the storage account. So my first box is, it's asking that name of the storage account. So I have to be passed this up. So simple guys, like in any website, before like IRCTC, Redbus, Abibus, when you try to log into that websites, right? So you have to be sign up, right? So for even Gmail also have to be sign up. You have to enter all the necessary details. Like for you to connect to any kind of source, you have to be enter all the details. Okay, so Azure blob storage, it is asking name of Azure blob storage, what name you want to keep here, blob storage name. So you have to be specify that, like link service. So you have to be follow certain naming standards, guys. Okay, so ls underscore for example, my storage service name as blob connection. Okay, so this is my blob storage connection. Okay, so I just want to provide the naming convention as ls underscore blob connection, and so at the beginning I already mentioned, guys. Okay, so since it's showing as auto resolve integration runtime here, right? Connect via integration runtime. Description, if you want to pass, you can pass, otherwise leave it, no need to worry. Okay, so connect via integration runtime, guys. So at a simple terms, you can try to understand this, guys. Okay, if I want to move data from blob to data lake gen 2 using Azure Data Factory service, right? So I have it's placed in Azure cloud, right? Both are in Azure cloud. Both my source and target, right? So this is a source. This is a source, and target or sink. In ADF terminology, we can call it as a sink. Okay, so this is my source and this is my sink, and you need to, both are placed in the Azure cloud, so you no need to use any other integration runtime. So what integration runtime, what is the integration runtime, we already discussed, right? So integration runtime, basically it will provide a compute infrastructure. So compute infrastructure means, already discussed, if you want to move data from one laptop to another laptop, right? You should have some network connection. You should have some network bandwidth, storage, memory for you to load. the file, right? So all this compute infrastructure is handled by integration runtime. Okay, so for example, you are trying to connect the cloud and you are trying to move data from blob to data lake, but in future you might connect to on-premises systems like a SQL Server, Oracle. You have to be install another integration runtime. Microsoft, they divided integration runtimes into 3 types, guys. Okay, now by default, whenever you tried creating this Azure Data Factory service, okay, by default you have auto resolve integration runtime. Okay, and this auto resolve integration, when should you use? If you want to connect to any public network, if you want to move data from any cloud service provider, like I want to move from blob to data lake, or I want to move data from Amazon S3 to cloud, Azure cloud. So Amazon S3 from another cloud service provider, right? So you can still move the data from another cloud service provider as well, and you can connect to that cloud service provider connector, whatever the source you want to come, like Amazon S3, Amazon Redshift, the different services, even other cloud service provider also offering, right? So you want to move data from Amazon S3 to data lake in Azure, you can still do that. Okay, so there is an options and you can still do that. And so that's what, guys. Okay, we have 3 types of integration runtimes. Okay, so now I am trying to explain about the auto resolve integration runtime. So there is another integration runtime, self-hosted integration runtime, where you can connect to your on-prem systems, and you can also connect to your local disk, and you can move all the files to cloud. Okay, and I can see here, and we have here authentication type, guys. Okay, so this is what the integration runtime, you can see here. Integration runtime is the compute infrastructure used by Azure Data Factory to provide data integration capabilities across different network environment. So if it is different networks, in the sense it might be an on-prem network, it might be private network, it might be virtual network, right? So your on-prem system is hosted on a virtual network, you have to be connect to that virtual network. And for all this private network, virtual network, or any on-premises systems, you have to be use a self-hosted integration runtime guide. So how we need to create the self-hosted integration runtime, that we can discuss later point of time. So now I'm trying to explain about Azure auto resolve integration runtime. And so since I'm trying to move data from blob to data lake, both are available in a cloud. And I have to use here, we have different authentication type, guys. Okay, so if you can select here account key, I need to pass that account key. Okay, with respect to this link service, so there are different authentication types here: account key, shared access signature, service principal, system assigned managed identity, user assigned managed identity. So you should understand all these authentication types, guys. Okay, so when you I'll explain, guys. Okay, so if you can explain all these things, you'll confused. Okay, so I'll come to that one by one. Okay, how you need to use the SaaS token, how you need to provide an access to your client, or how you need to provide an access to someone, limited access using a managed service identity. So we can discuss that, and how exactly you need to pass this SaaS token in a linked service. For example, I don't want to use this account key. If I want to pass the SaaS URI, I have to be generate this SaaS URL and the SaaS token for the blob storage, right? So how you need to generate this, we can discuss, guys. Okay, I'll come to that. No need to worry. If I can start explaining everything, you guys can confused. We'll discuss one by one. Now I want to use the account key, and here you can see connection string and Azure keyword service, right? So I can use here Azure subscription, from Azure subscription, or else if you want to pass dynamically through parameters. Okay, so we also discussed about the parameters, right, in a previous session, right? So we have a separate session for that parameters. Going forward, we can discuss about even parameters as well. I'll come to that. now I want to pass through subscription. Okay, so you can pass just subscription details. So this is my subscription. Okay, and a storage account name you have to pass here. Blob storage, we have created this blob storage, and additional connection properties, just the connection. So now I can see here connection successful. Okay, so just click on create. Okay, so for the blob storage, connection is successful. See here, I've created a blob storage, right? So this is my link service blob connection which I have created now. These two link services we have created in already previous session, right? So I just want to show you how exactly you need to create a link service in a real time, guys. Okay, so instead of predefined template, you can use this link service to establish a connection. And so I just use this link service to establish a connection to source. Okay, so what is my second step here in let's go to this example again. So my second step is I'll create a data set. Okay, so I'll create a data set. So your second step is to create a data set, right? So for you to create a data set, left side you can see home, you can see author, monitor, manage, learn, right? So you need to click on author tab. So this is where you need to create a data set, guys. Okay, so I can see here a data set, right? And so let's go to the data set and click on three dots, and you can see here new data set, right? So we have this option, new data set option. Just click on this new data set, and I need to pass here blob, right? So I have to connect to the blob, right? If you want to create a data set, right, so you have to create a link service, right? So already created a link service, and I want to connect to that blob storage. Okay, so I want to connect to the blob storage. This is my source, and what kind of format you want to read. So as we discussed, I want to read a zip file, for suppose, right? So you can go to blob storage, go to home. So this is your blob storage. Go to containers, click on draw. So I want to upload one of zip file. Okay, for example, I want to use this product.zip file. Okay, so I have this product. Okay, so I want to extract the file. Okay, so since it is zip file, guys, I have to extract the zip file. Okay, so even in your mission, right, when you have any zip file, we generally extract the zip file and load into in our folders, right, in our drives. So here also, since it is zip file, I have to be extract this file using Azure Data Factory service, and I want to load the data into data lake. Okay, so try to remember, guys, because when I'm trying to explain a real-time example, real-time project in area of Azure Data Factory, so you have to understand all these things. Okay, so how exactly you need to process the zip file and from SFTP server, and you have to understand this how exactly you need to extract the files in the Azure Data Factory. So just uploaded the file in a blob storage in a storage account, and let's go to the a data set. So since it is a zip file, right, so you have to be understand what kind of format it is, what kind of format you're trying to read after extracting the zip file. You have to be aware this. Okay, so just click on delimited text, click on continue ds. This is my zip, for example, zip file. Okay, my data set is product zip file, right? So this is my data set name. Okay, so product zip file and the link service. So you already created a link service externally, right? You created this link service ls underscore blob connection today, right? So I need to use this link service and file path. So this link service, guys, don't confuse, right? So we use this link service in yesterday. There is some template, predefined template, and I have explained there, right? So file path, click on draw. I want to select this zip file. Okay, so product.zip file. So this is my source file, guys. Okay, so inside the raw container I have placed this product.zip file. I have to be browse that. Okay, so you can also use this browse option. You can automatically, because since you are trying to connect to blob, right? You already connected to blob. Test connection also successful, right? So when I click on edit here, when I click on edit right side, you can see some pencil mark, right? So you can see some pencil mark here. So just click on this, it will redirect it to the blob storage, and you can test the connection here. So whether source connection is successful or not. Now I can see connection is successful, right? Click on cancel, and I have passed here file path. So file path is I have specified the file product.zip file, and since it is a CSV file, when I extract the zip file, it is a CSV format, and I want to click on first row as a header, because CSV file having some header information, right? So let me show you, guys, let me show you. CSV file having some header information. It has it is a structure kind of format, right? So it has some columns and it has some rows, right? So that's the reason I have just enabled this first row as a header, since CSV file having the header information, right? So first row as a header. So I don't want to import the schema at this point of time. I'll come to this connection store and or import the schemas options. I'll come to later. Okay, from sample file, and then I want to click on from none. Okay, I don't want to use sample file. I don't want to use connections store. I'll come to this section when we should use this import schema option. Okay, so I'll just want to click on none now, and click on OK. Okay, so now, guys, I have this data set, right? So I have created a data set. You can see delimited text ds underscore product zip file data set. Okay, so in the data set you can see if you want to preview this data, right? So since it is a zip file, right, you cannot properly see the data. So if you still want to see, just click on preview data. It's not visible, right? Since it is a zip format, right? You have to be extract the zip file. Okay, so how you need to extract the zip file, you have to be understand this. Okay, because these kinds of requirement you can face in a real time, guys. Okay, so try to understand compression type dot zip. Okay, so we have here different formats, compression types. Okay, so bzip2, gzip, deflate, zip deflate, tar gzip, tar snappy. So all these are different kinds of types. Okay, compression types what we have, and based on our format, our zip format, if it is dot zip, dot deflate, right? So you can use this dot deflate. If it is dot gzip, you can use this format. Okay, so like this you can have multiple compression types under this drop down. And since I have used product.zip file, and this is a zip file, and I want to use zip deflate to extract the file. Okay, so now if I can click, right, now if I can click, I can view the data, because I have used this zip deflate to extract this zip file, right? So I have used the under the compression type. In real time maybe they'll ask how you need to extract the zip files, right? So or else an interview point of view also they will ask, when you start explaining about your project, so how you need to extract the zip files. So you have to explain that. We have an option under the data set, compression type. Okay, so under the compression type we have a drop down different in the drop down we have different list to extract these files. For .zip file, we need to use zip deflate. For .ggzip file, we'll use ggzip, right? So now guys, if I can click on this preview data, I can be able to view the data, right? I have used a zip deflate to extract this file. Now if I can click on preview data, I can see the data, guys, right? I can see ID, product name, price. Okay, so this is what the sample data. I just want to, if you can click on this preview data, you can see the sample data, not whole data. I'm not talking about a whole data. If you want to view the sample data, right, you can use this preview data option. You can view the data. Okay, so now I want to, if you, whatever the your source, okay, whatever your source or whatever it is in a format, you need to use this compression type, and you need to extract those files. Okay, so remember this point. So now I have some compression level, guys. Okay, so if you want to compress further, we have some optimal and fastest. Okay, so either one you can use. If you want to optimal, still the size are if you want to still go for optimal, and you can source side, you can use optimal, and target side will automatically load all the data into target location. Okay, if you want to use optimal, you can use it. Okay, so column delimiter, guys, column delimiter in the sense I have used a comma separated. Okay, so here I have used the comma separated since it is a CSV file. Okay, but maybe your requirement it is semicolon separated. Okay, or tab separated. You have to be select that corresponding file format. Okay, so I can see here comma separated, semicolon separated, pipe separated. So based on your requirement, you can choose all these types. Okay, so we have different types. We have semicolon separated, pipe separated, tab separated, and we also have start of heading, no delimiter. So these are all different kinds of formats, okay, which you try to receive from the source. Okay, you can choose that corresponding format, whether it is tab separated, whether it is comma separated. You have to be, before going to read this data, you have to be understand that data, what kind of data it is, what format it is, right? So all these things you should aware, guys. Okay, you should aware all these things. So now I have this row delimiter. So with respect to row delimiter, and I can see here default. So you no need to change anything, guys. Okay, default values you can remember. So encoding default UTF-8. So if you have different encoding formats, you can also choose under this drop down encoding formats, UTF-8, UTF-bomb, without bomb, right? So you can UTF-7, UTF-8, UTF-16 LE. So all these types of encoding we have. Okay, so compression type and column delimiter, and you can also do here adding some dynamic content, passing some formats. Okay, so you want to read comma separated, or you want to read semicolon separated, you can still do that. So row delimiter, column delimiter, it's a default values. Keep it in the default values. No need to change anything. So encoding also you can keep it as same. No need to change anything. Okay, so now I have here double quotes. Okay, so backslash, based on our requirement you can choose this. Okay, so escape characters, quote characters, and first row is a header. So this particular CSV file having some header information, you can see the checkbox which you already created from portal and from encoding. Okay, so this is bit important, guys, encoding, because you have to choose that corresponding format. Okay, encoding format. So default is always UTF-8. No need to change anything. If it is in a different encoding format, you have to choose other formats. Okay, so null values, we don't have any null values. So you can see here the character used to specify the string, okay, represents of null value. The default value is empty string. So if you have any character that you use to specify the string representation of null value, the default value is always empty string, guys. So this is what connection. In a data set, we have a schema. If you want to import the schema, you need to enable the radio button, import schema option. You already aware, we discussed. If you want to pass the parameters dynamically to the data set, so we can use this parameter concept, and we can pass directly. We can have a separate session for the parameters, guys. How we need to reuse your pipelines, how we need to add the reusable nature to improve the productivity and to improve the lot of time, right? So instead of creating, for example, if I have 100 files, guys, okay, so for each file I cannot create a multiple pipelines. Okay, I'll create only single pipeline. I'll extract all the 10 files or 100 files or 1000 files. I can load the data into target. Okay, so try to understand and try to remember these points. So this is a data set I have created, right? So let's go to our paint. So we created a data set, and target side also we need to create a link service because I have to be load data, right? Okay. So your third step is to create a link service. Let's go to the portal again, and let's go to the Azure Data Factory. Go to manage tab. You already aware, right? So if you want to create a link service, you have to go to the manage tab, click on the link service. Link service is nothing but an establishing a connection to source, right? Connecting to the source or connecting to the target. So I want to connect to the target. Click on new, guys. Okay, let me show you again. Click on no. Okay, click on new button. Click on new button and Gen 2. Click on Gen 2. Click on continue. ELS underscore ADLS connection. Okay, so this is an ADLS connection, Azure Data Lake Storage connection. And since this is also part of a cloud, I want to use auto resolve integration runtime only. Okay, so account key I want to use, I want to pass same as it is at blob storage. Okay, just want to change the naming convention, that's it. So this is my subscription. I have to be select here Gen 2 account 008, and this is my Gen 2 account, and I want to test the connection. Okay, I don't want to pass any parameters here. I want to test the connection and click on create. So now I have created both source and target link services, and I have created a data set for source. Okay, and I want to create a data set for target as well, guys. Okay, um, so let's go to author tab. So here we have an option data sets, right? So data sets. Let's go to the three dots. Create a new data set. Connect to the Gen 2 storage. Gen 2. So this is my data lake Gen 2. Okay, this is my data lake Gen 2. And now you can double click on that or click on continue. Now I need to load the data into maybe whatever your requirement. For example, I want to load data into Parquet format. Okay, and what is the use of Parquet format, we can discuss. Okay, when compared to CSV, how much space we can save, and with respect to analytics, while doing analytics, and when compared to CSV, we generally use in real-time Parquet format for doing analytics. And now I want to load data into CSV because I just want to view the contents of this particular file. and I have to specify here the data set. So this is my output, okay, output data set product. Okay. So this is my data set name, output product, and you can pass any name, guys. Okay, you can pass any name based on your current project. So link service, I can pass here this connection. So where you want to load the data, for example, I want to load the data into refined folder, and maybe inside the refined folder I have a separate folders. Okay, so for example, I can see here sales.csv, and all the files are loaded already in the previous session we tried. So go to root folder. Okay, go to root folder, and I can see here refined folder. Okay, so I'll create a separate folder for you. Okay, before going to load data into refined container, and I want to create a separate folder for you, and I will load all the data into target. Okay, so click on OK. So if you want, you can pass some subfolder. Okay, so this is a container, right? And in a C drive and D drive, right? You can also create some subfolders. You can create some like a movies folder. You can keep all movies, and you can create audio folder, and you can move it to all the audio files, right? So like this, we can also place different types of containers in the storage account. So we can have only one refined container, but you can have multiple containers in a real time. So under the refined container, I'll pass here maybe product data. So this is the product data, right? So this is the product kind of data I want to use, like product data. And so first choose the header, since it is a CSV file, and then okay, so click on OK. So now I'll go to here. So this is also data set, guys, a link service and file path, whatever the file path we have specified where you want to load data. Compression type, so compression type none. So since I do not want to compress any data, so but still you can do that. How we need to zip the file while loading the data into target, you can do that using these options. Okay, but I don't want to compress the data. Instead, I want to load that zip file. After extracting the zip file, I want to load into target. Okay, so comma delimiter and the row delimiter options we have, and all these apart from that, all these options are common. Okay, so I can have here code, characters, compression type, param, delimiter. So you have to be choose all these options. Okay, and now I've created a data set, link services and everything. Now your fifth step is to be create. I have created a data set. So your fifth step is create pipeline. Okay, so your fifth step is create a pipeline. Let's go to portal, and I'll create my fifth step. Here I can see pipeline side. So after the pipelines, you can see three dots here, right? So just click on this three dots and click on new pipeline. Okay, so I just want to name this pipeline name. Right side you can see the properties tab, and under the properties tab you can see the general tab, and you can just pass the name of your pipeline. So process zip files. So these are all these are all the things, these are all sequence of steps you have to follow while creating the pipeline. So now I want to use here under move and transform. So they basically categorized all these activities. Okay, under the activities you can see all these activities, right? So they are categorized into three types. Okay, so one is data movement activities, another one is control flow activities, another one is the data transformation activities. So now I want to use this data movement activity under move and transform. Data flows comes under data transformation activity. Now you can see the category how they were divided, move and transform. So for moving purpose, I can use a copy data activity. Okay, so I can see here copy data. For example, I'll pass some naming conversion from blob to data lake gen 2. So now I'll come to this each and every section, guys. What is this pipeline? What are all these options? At this point of time, I'll just create a data set. Whatever you created, right? Data set product zip file, and whatever the target you have to create it, and you have just need to pass here the target. So my target data set. So I can see output product, right? So now I can execute this pipeline, and I can be able to view the content of this particular file should be loaded to target gen 2. Okay, so now let's click on debug. So now you can see that file, guys, and one more thing you have to be changed here, file extension. So file extension in a sync, guys, you always need to change here to .csv. Okay, or whatever the format you want to load into target, because by default if you are not specifying any file name in a sync, guys, it will take it as a text format. Okay, so if you want to debug again, now that copy activity is the success. If you want to debug again, so see here, copy activity executed successfully, and you can see the output. I'll come to the each and every icon, guys, no need to worry tomorrow class, and click on this details tab. I can see I just moved blob storage to data lake, and the status is succeed, right? So you can see here what is the volume of data and file read, and you have to look into this number of rows read and number of rows written. Okay, so because source is a zip file, right? So it's an almost kbs, right? But here it is a 37.576 kb, right? After extracting the file size is more, right, generally. So copy duration it took 8 seconds, and throughput it took 1.673 kbs per second. Okay, so I'll come to this each and every section, DAUs, parallel copies, because you have to understand clearly on these terms. We need a continuation for this. Tomorrow session I'll explain how exactly you need to use this parallel copies and data integration unit, how this is going to be improve the powerfulness of copy activity, and how you need to improve the throughput, right? So what you can see that number of parallel copies, when should you use the parallel copies, and when we have that single file you're trying to retrieve the data, and the default DAUs you can take it as a 4, even even if you can specify till 256 DAUs, it won't affect any performance, because if you have any single file, by default it is going to be take it as a 4 DAUs. So that we can discuss, guys, clearly, that we can discuss in tomorrow session how exactly you need to create a pipeline efficiently, and using this ADF Azure Data Factory service. Going forward, we can discuss in depth more about Azure Data Factory pipelines, and using copy activity or different kinds of activities, and how we need to automate your pipelines. Okay, so we can discuss going forward one by one. Okay. So that's it, guys, for today. Any questions, please go ahead.
Yeah, Suresh, Naresh here.
Yeah, Naresh.
Yeah, can you please show me that one? Suppose if we are process now single file, right? Suppose if I have
Correct.
multiple files, how can I proceed?
So if you have multiple files, we can have that. The next, example is on that. So if you have multiple files, we have a wildcard file path, guys. Okay. So in a source side, we have a wildcard file path. What we need to do, if you have multiple files in a source, you just need to pass here star. Okay. Star in the sense many, guys. Okay. You can read many files from the source. And if you want to read a specific format, for example, I have different file formats in my source. You want to read for example, I want to read .csv format. Okay, so only the files are extension with the .csv I can read. So you can also pass like this star.csv. Okay, that we can discuss, guys. Going forward, one by one, we can discuss what is this wildcard file path. And now I'm using this file path in dataset. So we can discuss this file path type in a tomorrow session, how efficiently you can read all the file from the respective source. Okay. So no need to worry now. We can discuss one by one all the different scenarios. We can try whatever you are going to implement in a real time. Okay. So now you want to see that this is your source, right? You have to check your target. Let's go to the target gen 2 because your intention is to load the data into target blob to data lake, right? So I'm going to the refined folder and I have here product data folder. I can see here product.zip. I can see both the files, guys. Okay, I have extracted this file and I can see both the files here. Okay, so product.csv, product.txt, because initially I have not removed that .txt format since it is loaded by default into a .txt format. But later I have modified file extension is .csv. In a copy activity inside a sync, you can see the product.csv file. Okay, so this is how it is going to be extract the file and load into target location. Okay, so this is what the pipeline, guys. Okay, this is what a copy activity. It's a action or processing step where you need to move data from blob to data lake gen 2, right? So we tried loading this, we tried loading zip file. Okay, we tried loading the zip file from blob to data lake gen 2 successfully, right? So your sixth step here, activity, right? Sixth step is activity. Activity is nothing but an action or processing step. Your action is to move the file from blob to data lake, right? So this is what we have done in a today's session, guys. Okay. So any other questions, team?
Hello.
Yes, guys.
Yeah, I have to create the blob storage.
Mhm.
And source and destination is same location.
Okay,
How to
you can
create
do that.
two linked services or only one linked service?
You need to create two link services for both the storage accounts.
In same blob storage only how to data transfer.
Yeah,
Storage.
that's what I'm trying to say. You can specify the same region, whatever the blob storage region, and you can also, you need to create a data lake gen 2.
No,
But
Suresh,
there are,
he's saying that the source and destinations are both the blob storages.
okay, so okay, got it. So you can still use that both blob and data you can create a link service is one. No need to create a multiple link services. Okay, if source is a blob storage and target is also blob storage, no need to create a multiple link services. Only one link service is enough, right? You can still load the data into multiple folders in a target. You can create different folders and you can try to load it. Okay, because cloud storages are very cheap, guys. Okay, so no need to worry about cost as well. Both blob and data lake is very cheap, and compared to data lake, blob is very cheaper. Any other questions, team?
Suresh, when I try to create a data set, actually, I can't see more options like row delimiter, and these options I can't see in my session. Suresh, the encoding
No,
option,
no, guys. You can have what kind of storage you are trying to connect.
blob storage only.
You should have all these options because even I mean this cloud service provider, even for me it is same, for you it is the same. So the product is same for everyone, right? Data Factory product is same for everyone. So try to check again, okay? And you can find this encoding. These are all default values, okay? So what we tried passing. So no need to. I'm not changing anything. You cannot change anything. This is providing cloud service provider this product, and you can check all these
Yes,
options.
Suresh.
Okay.
Actually, I created data sets, but here I can't see Suresh. Shall I
Can
share
you
my
share your
screen
screen?
once?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can share
sure.
your screen.
Can you please provide
Let
access?
me get access. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
You able to see my screen, Suresh?
I can see.
Yeah. This is
So
the service data set actually I
correct.
created.
But you have selected here binary format. Okay. So binary
Okay.
format you cannot see. You have to be select delimited text format. If you want to see all these options, you have to be select delimited text format. Since you have selected a binary, and remember one more point here: if you can select a source is a binary data set, you should have target also binary format. Okay, remember this point.
Okay.
And one more thing, if you can use a binary format, you should use a binary format. What if you have like audio files, video files, image files, right? Log files, so any unstructured kind of data you should use a binary format only. But if you know the proper format, since it is a .txt format, you can also use a binary format, your wish. Okay, so your wish, but if you can use a binary format as a source, you should have target also binary.
Okay. Even okay.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys? So if you don't have any questions, we'll wind up the session, guys. We'll connect again tomorrow.
Suresh, small question. In these
Yes.
activities, we are using copy activity. That
Correct.
other activities like if activity, filter activity. That how will in this yeah option?
Yeah, so we can incorporate all these activities going forward, guys. We'll use get metadata activity, copy activity, and filter activity for each activity, if condition activity, delete activity, validation activity. All these kinds of activities we can discuss in tomorrow session. Okay. So I'll explain few more activities. Okay, tomorrow session. You can try to understand that, and then we can start, because there are many activities. We are going to use these activities going forward. Okay, execute pipeline and data flow activities, right? Set variable activities, web activities. There are different kinds of activities we can discuss one by one. Okay, so I'll
Okay.
show you how we need to create multiple activities in a single pipeline, how we need to move data, so we can also discuss that. So that's it, guys, for
Sir,
today.
yesterday's session has not been shared, Suresh. Yesterday's recorded session. Can you please
I have shared, guys. Okay, I'll share you the link. Okay, now itself.
okay.
uh,
It's
I, I,
better if
I
you share the recorded session after the session course this session completed, Suresh, so that we
Yeah,
can.
I have placed. I mean, yesterday itself, guys. Whatever the link I have shared, let me share, because I have provided access to everyone. You already mentioned your email IDs, right? I have provided access to everyone. Let me ping you. Just give me 5 minutes, okay? I'll ping you that link in a group. You can access from all the sessions from day one to till now. Okay.